For the split squat, we want to begin by setting up our feet. They're going to be hip width apart. Most common mistake when people set up for a split squat is they have their feet right in line with each other and they're weeble wobbling all over the place. So we want to have our feet hip width apart. What that's going to do is provide maximum stability and control in the movement while also allowing our hips, knees, and ankles their specific ranges of motion so we can perform this movement with quality. So when we're getting set up, I'll show you from the front and from the back, and I'm also going to go over the common mistakes with this movement. Let's begin from the side. Feet are going to be hip width apart, toes straight ahead, heels down. I'm going to establish my neutral posture. Shoulder blades are back, but we don't want to arch that back. From here, you're going to have one foot forward, one foot back. Doesn't matter which one you start with. I highly recommend starting with your weakest side in the front because that's going to be the first half of your set and you have the most energy at the beginning of your set. Okay, that front foot is going to be flat, toes are straight ahead, heels down. Your back foot, you're going to be on the ball of the foot, driving that heel back. You want to have your torso centered directly between the front and the back leg. We don't want to have the torso here. We don't want to have this torso start back here. Once you're centered, taking a nice deep belly breath, still holding that neutral posture, avoiding any arch in the lower back. Lower yourself under control till that back knee is 2 to 4 inches above the ground. Come back up under control. Make sure you're getting this front leg extended. Okay, we want to avoid kind of coming up and just kind of leaving it bent. You don't have to lock it out, but make sure you're extending so you're getting a full range of motion on your front and your back leg. Once you complete all reps on this one side, step forward with that back leg and step back with the front, come back to the center, and then reestablish that split stance. Complete all reps on this one side. Now, let's say you're unable to go all the way down here. Maybe your range of motion doesn't allow you to, maybe there's pain. You can also build up to this movement by lowering yourself maybe a halfway, a third of the way, whatever it is. You can also use something if you have a stable post at your gym or at your home. You can hold on to something, lower yourself under control. This is going to be the first step towards your reverse lunge, your walking lunge, your single leg squat, rear foot elevated squat, and all those fun split variations. One of the most common mistakes with this, as people lower themselves, everything will look right at the beginning, but when they lower themselves, this back knee ends up buckling underneath, see if I can do it here, buckling underneath their hip so that it's right underneath or even in front of their hip, and it can cause a lot of not so good stuff going on with that knee. So I want you to pay close attention to make sure that back knee stays behind your hip. If there's a straight line coming down from my hip, I want to make sure that knee stays behind it. And I'm in control. From the front, again, feet are going to be hip width apart, toes straight ahead, heels are down. Boom, I'm going to step back with that back leg, front foot is flat, back foot I'm on the ball of the foot. I'm going to center my torso in between both, shoulder blades back, lower myself under control till that back knee is 2 to 4 inches above the ground, come back up. From this front position, it's a good time to talk about knees. Okay, your knee should either stay in line with your ankle. It can even go outside of the ankle a little bit, but we want to avoid letting it come in. That's a no-go. If your knee is pushing in, it could be a number of things. I don't want to diagnose it for you, but it could be just one, lack of control and just getting used to the movement, motor control. 2, you could have some tightness on the inside of the leg here that's pulling you in. You could have tightness on your hip that's rotating that knee in or that your femur, your upper leg inward. Could be a number of things. So just know that that's something we want to avoid. Also, back leg. I want to make sure that back leg, the knee isn't pointing out. Okay? It's actually okay for it to point in a little bit. We don't want it to excessively point in, so you're going to have to find that middle ground. But those are the things you want to avoid. So make sure that knee stays behind your hip and make sure the knees do not cave in or flare out excessively, especially on the back leg. Make sure your torso stays nice and upright and you're not arching the lower back. That is the split squat.